everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. This is the special July 29th, 2026 Northampton School Committee meeting. I'm Gina Louise Shara, the chair of the school committee, and I will be presiding this afternoon. This meeting is being held remotely on Zoom pursuant to the modification of the state's open meeting law for the pandemic. This meeting and all participating will be audio and video recorded. And I'll begin by welcoming Superintendent Azarloza, as it is her first school committee meeting as superintendent, and also welcoming Anthony Morgan, who is our new clerk for the school committee. So welcome both of you. We are very happy to have you here, and happy to have you at your first school committee meeting. And with that, Anthony, when you're ready, will you please call the roll of the school committee?
Okay. Do I need to do you, Shara, or is that taken for granted?
It's not. You got
Okay. Shara,
here.
Member Bartoli,
Here.
Member Weissenfreund,
Here.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo,
Here.
Member Stein, absent. Member Martin,
Here.
Member Mahoney,
Present.
Member Rice,
Reese here.
Reese, sorry.
Yours.
Member Jewell,
Here.
Member Saina Sullivan.
Here.
Terrific. So normally, Anthony, you would confirm that we have a quorum, which we do. So let's get straight into new business. Our first item is Family and Community Engagement Roundtable, and I will hand it over to you, Superintendent Azarloza. And first of all, I want to say thank you for all of the background information that you provided on this agenda. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read through it. It was a lot of great information that will set us up for this meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'll start with the Family and Community Engagement Roundtable. So I will be establishing exactly that, a superintendent's family and community engagement roundtable in the fall, just as another opportunity for caregivers, community members, and our community partners to engage with the district. And I do have that in the background and rationale, much more robust than what I'll say right now. The goal is really essentially to strengthen the communication, increase transparency, gather feedback, and then continue to build those strong relationships with our caregivers and our community. We're going to provide childcare, so we want to make sure that those barriers are not in the way. And dinner will be provided to those that attend, just to help make participation just more accessible to more families. I also want to say, when I talk about community partners, I mean, apart from community members, community partners, I mean like organizations like local nonprofits, health and human service agencies, and other organizations that support our scholars and caregivers. I was part of a community partners roundtable through the Worcester Education Collaborative, and it's such a valuable experience, and it really brought together organizations that all cared about public education, but really rarely had an opportunity to sit down around the same table. And so, I think of this as our educational ecosystem, and so our schools don't exist in isolation. They're part of a larger community that wants to see our scholars succeed. I just want to mention that I met with a school committee member today who recently provided some excellent suggestions. Can we help, for example, can we host two, one in the morning and one in the evening, just to make sure that we, for access purposes? I love that. And also, can we provide translation services and transportation? I believe we can look into our Title III grant for translation services, and I can work with the team on ideas for transportation. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, Vice Chair Bartoli.
Thank you, Mayor Shara. Superintendent Annie, may we as members of the school committee attend this, or would you prefer to have it? I'm assuming yes, but I just wanted to double check.
Absolutely, you can.
Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Member Jewell.
Thank you, Superintendent Azarloza. Do you have an idea on the timeline of when you want to get this started and when you hope to expect like the first meetings?
I'm shooting for October.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, any other questions or comments with the superintendent? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the second item, which is the Northampton Open Media and IT Workspace. And we also have two guests with us today. So we have Al Williams, who's the executive director of NOM, who's here with us. And we have the chief information officer for Northampton, Luigi Ottaviani, who's also here with us to answer any questions or talk about this if people would like. But I will again hand it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this proposal recognizes that our space needs have changed over time. Northampton Open Media no longer needs, as much space, while the city's IT department needs additional space. So we're making this swap better align space with each organization's operation needs. And I know that I've put this in the background, my background and rationale document that's attached there, but as an added benefit to this arrangement, IT can respond more quickly to staff needs at the high school, which is really the greatest demand for technology support that exists. The move also returns our culinary classroom space to the high school, which Mr. Taglieri is really excited about for instructional use, and shifts the day-to-day Chromebook management from the library staff to IT professionals. So I do want to thank Director Luigi about on that. Really allows our librarians to spend more time supporting scholars. And I'll turn it over to anyone else who has any questions, or Luigi or our or the gentleman from NOM to chime in.
Yeah, Al or Luigi, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, particularly. The high school is the highest requester of IT support among the schools, so it benefits them and ourselves directly to be there. We also like the idea of giving back as many classrooms as we can possibly can to the school. So.
Great. Okay, thanks. Al, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I emphasize that even though we're going to be moving out of the space that we inhabited in the high school, that we really not only fully intend to keep supporting the high school program as we have throughout the years there, but also improving that support. So it still remains a huge priority for us, our involvement with the school department and the school district. And so we may be changing location, but we're definitely not altering our mission in that way.
Great. And I just want to thank both of you for working together on this so well and coming up with something that really meets some needs that I think both organizations and the spaces have had. So thank you for working so closely together on this. Member Reese.
I was just wondering what the timeline is for the move and what needs to happen before it happens.
I know we've been hoping, Luigi, correct me if I'm wrong, we're hoping to do this this summer before the children return.
Correct. That would be as soon as possible. The beginning of the school is the highest and busiest moment for us for the year. So doing it after that will bring us to probably end of September, which gets a little tricky then even for Northampton Open Media.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. Well, seeing none, then we can say goodbye to you, Al and Luigi. Thank you so much for being here. And again, for all the work on this. We appreciate it. Take care. Okay, next item C is a new job description for the Director of Teaching and Learning. So a change from Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Superintendent.
Thank you. So this recommendation is really about making sure that the title matches the work that we're asking this person to do. When I hear, or when many people hear Director of Curriculum and Instruction, it sounds very curriculum focused, but what we really need is someone who's thinking more broadly about teaching and learning across the district. So while that includes curriculum, of course, it also includes instruction, assessment, professional learning, continuously improving what happens in our classroom. And Director of Teaching and Learning simply does a better job of capturing that broader responsibility. I don't think it's a clearer title. Actually, I think it's a clearer title for our staff and our families, and for the candidates we'll likely trying to recruit. And if we're looking for an exceptional instructional leader, the title should definitely reflect the scope of work and the kind of leadership we're really asking them to provide. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. Member Bertelli.
This is not so much a question as a comment. I really appreciate the way that you're approaching this. I think it reflects the values of many of us in the district as far as how we want to approach our children's education, or our constituents' children's education, and the children that we're responsible. So I really appreciate this change.
Thank you.
Member Jewell.
Thank you. I have a question regarding, I know that there were previously like open applications for the Director of Curriculum Instruction. So are those rolling over into this? Have you reached out to those people, or is this like a whole new hiring process?
So we definitely reached out to those people to let them know that we were kind of redesigning the job description that was going before the school committee, and that once it's reposted, we'll let them know that they're certainly able to apply again.
Thank you.
Member Weisenfried.
Hi, thank you. Also, it's a good new title, I think. I'm curious, could you summarize for us how the qualifications for this position may be different than the qualifications for the previous position?
Yeah, so what we did was we added that this person needs just principal experience. I think I might have put in there, I don't have it in front of me, but 3 years of principal experience, because, you know, when I'm thinking about the position of Director of Teaching and Learning, credibility matters, right? So that this individual will be supporting our instructional leaders and helping improve teaching across the district. And so having served as a successful building principal just provides more important perspective and just practical experience. And that's, I believe that's the biggest change in the qualifications that I've added.
Go ahead, Member Weisenfried.
So I understand it does limit the number of people, or perhaps even potential internal applicants, right? Making that new requirement.
Yes, and I do recognize that, but again, I'm thinking of if they're going to be supporting principals, I want them also to have served as a principal and to know what that work really entails. And I think that will go a long way.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Member Sainer Sullivan.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just wondering when you hope to have this person in place by.
Great question. So if it's approved today, it'll fly tomorrow on School Spring. Excuse me. There's a pretty comprehensive hiring process that we're launching, and so we hope to have the person hired by September.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, are there other questions? So you are looking for a vote today?
Yes. So all job descriptions have to be approved by the school committee, and since we've made some changes, it has to be approved. Yeah.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve this job description, title change and job description? Do they both have to be approved? Member Bartoli.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, motion's made by Member Bartoli, seconded by Member Martin. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please, Anthony?
Okay, Mayor Chiara,
Yes.
Member Bartoli,
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund,
Abstain.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo,
No.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yep.
Member Sainer Sullivan.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know the exact wording, but I believe the motion is passed.
Great.
Motion passes. Yes.
Motion passes. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to D, Extended School Time Program. Superintendent.
Sure. So this proposal changes the name of our after-school program from Ignite to Nest. And what I really like about this is that it's not just a name change, but it's how we got here. Gabby Hollander, which is our director, invited scholars and teachers and site coordinators to really help shape it. And I think Nest aligns nicely with our district's focus on belonging and gives the program a stronger Northampton identity because it was created with people who really will be part of it every day. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Member Sainer Sullivan.
Yeah, not a question, just a comment that I like it because I could never remember what Ignite stood for. And this is pretty easy for me to recall. So, and I like it. And I like the idea of a nest and that it's very clear what it means. So, yeah, just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
Okay, do you need any action from us?
We do need you to approve the name change.
Oh, yes, Member Sanders Sullivan?
Motion to approve the name change from Ignite to Nest.
Seconded.
Motion's made by Member Sanders Sullivan, seconded by Member Reese. Discussion? Yes, Member Weisenfried?
I just want to say that we never approved the name Ignite.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please, Anthony, when you're ready.
Okay, Mayor Chiara,
Yes.
Member Bartoli,
Yes.
Member Weisenfreund,
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamako,
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yep.
Member Sainer Sullivan.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is passed.
Great, thank you. Next is the proposed YMCA agreement with the Northampton Public Schools. And we are not going to be voting on this today, but we are going to have a discussion. So I will hand it over to Superintendent Azarloza.
Thank you. So you should have received this morning the correct version, which is that we are not embarking on a 3-year MOU, but rather a 1-year. So the big changes here are just moving the agreement from a 3-year term to a 1-year term, and then allowing the superintendent to designate the principals as the district's point of contact with the YMCA for day-to-day operational matters. It also adds language on the renewal process now that it's moving from a 3-year to a 1-year, and those are really the substantive changes to the agreement.
Yes, Member Martin.
Has Layla reviewed the changes?
Yes, she has. Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Member Reese, I saw you on mute. Is there something you want to add?
Oh, I guess I do have a question. It's more slightly adjacent, so I was hesitant, but tell me if it's not part of this discussion. But I am wondering, and I don't know if it actually needs to be in the contract. I know there's lists of which spaces they'll be occupying. I don't know if we need details about how those spaces will be shared in terms of, if they have the cafeteria and they have the playground, but while Nest is going on, how are those two coexisting? Especially, during school, there's more time, so there's time to shift in and out of a space. But since this is just a concentrated time, I was just wondering if the logistics for that are planned out.
Yes, we do. We actually have them planned out. So for example, there's a block of time of when we're using the cafeteria and they might be using the gym or vice versa. So that's all been ironed out so the children are mingled together so that we know that they're operating a space for their program and we're operating ours. And the playground in the same manner.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? Yeah, Member Sanders Sullivan.
Yeah, so in looking at the redlined version that you sent us, let me just pull it up here. Oh, goodness me, hang on, I'm sorry. In 10A, designation of employee, there's a change from the superintendent to a school principal or principals designated by the superintendent to be the individual with whom the YMCA or any authorized agent of the YMCA may confer regarding the terms of this agreement. I'm just wondering what the rationale is for that change.
I think they were thinking that a designee would be better because they're in those buildings so that if there are any issues from day to day, they can communicate directly with the principal on the terms of the agreement. For example, if it has to do with custodial work, they can confer with the principal to find out, what amount of time did the custodian use to clean up after so rather than myself that I'm kind of removed from those schools, it makes better sense for them to communicate with the principals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Any other questions? So again, we will vote on this on August 11th. All right. That brings us to the update on the August retreat and superintendent.
Thank you so much. So I'm really excited to facilitate the school committee retreat. When we began talking about it, I offered to facilitate because I'm very passionate about building collaborative and high-performing leadership teams. I know not everyone is coming into this retreat with the same level of enthusiasm that I am, and that's okay. My only hope is that everyone comes with an open mind and a willingness to engage in the conversation. And while it is true that each of you was elected individually and that you're not really part of a team in the traditional sense, the school committee really only has the authority when it acts collectively. And so the community doesn't experience 10 individual committee members, but rather they experience one governing body. And so my hope is that this retreat helps strengthen how that body works together, even when there are and will be differences of opinion. In fact, there should be differences of opinion. What matters, I think, is how we work through those disagreements while keeping children at the center of every decision. Because I'm facilitating the retreat, I put together the process and the agenda for the day. And when I think about retreats, because I've been thinking about also our leadership retreat that's coming up too, I think about creating the time and space to just pause. So a lot of our meetings are focused on business that has to get done, and that's exactly as it should be. But every once in a while, it's worth stepping back from that agenda and asking some bigger questions. How are we working together? What's helping us? What's getting in the way? And how do we move forward together as a governance body? Those aren't questions we usually have time to ask during regular meetings, and yet they're some of the most important questions as a governance body that can ask because they shape every conversation and every decision that follows. I also want to make sure that you're clear that my role is simply to guide the conversation and make sure that every member has opportunities to contribute. So while I may have designed the process, I don't design the outcomes. And the questions may be mine, but the answers are certainly yours. You'll also notice that this is not going to be a retreat that's built around PowerPoint presentations or lectures. It's designed to be very interactive because governance isn't something we learn by just listening to someone else talk. I often tell my cabinet team I'm not about talking heads. And so the activities are intentional. Some people think best by writing, others by talking with one person before sharing in a larger group, and others are comfortable just jumping right into a whole group conversation. I wanted to create multiple ways for everyone to contribute because every voice matters. And the last thing I want to say is I also want to name something that's pretty obvious. I understand that there are unresolved issues at the school committee level. My hope is that investing a little time in how the committee communicates and works through those differences actually helps those conversations. And not that we wait until every disagreement has been resolved before reflecting on governance. And finally, I want to be clear that my hope for the retreat, I don't expect everyone to leave agreeing on every issue. That's just not realistic, and it's actually not the goal. If we leave with a better understanding of one another and greater clarity about how we want to work together and a shared commitment to effective governance and service of the children that we serve, I will consider that day then a success. And I'm like, again, as I said, I'm very excited to facilitate the retreat. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. And is there anything that you would like us to prepare or to help us sort of come into this retreat with the tools we need to have a productive day?
That's a great question. So I think maybe what I want you to, there were some misconceptions on what is the process Enneagram. If you go to the internet and you plug in process Enneagram, it comes up with like some sort of personality assessment. It's not a personality assessment. It's actually a systems thinking framework that was developed by Dr. Richard Knowles to help groups and organizations navigate complex challenges. So unlike that personality Enneagram, which focuses on individual traits, the process Enneagram focuses on how groups work together to achieve outcomes. It provides a structured approach for clarifying that purpose, understanding the factors that influence success, identifying tensions or barriers, and then aligning stakeholders around those shared goals. And so it's a widely used leadership development, strategic planning, and organizational change and collaborative problem solving. It definitely encourages deeper dialogue. And again, I'm excited to facilitate it.
Great, thank you. Member Weisenfeld.
Hi. First, I want to just start out by welcoming the superintendent again publicly. She and I have had several meetings now, I think, that I've really enjoyed, and we've gotten to know each other a little better. And I think they've been very substantive, very informative. Regarding the retreat, I have had some email exchanges with the superintendent about this, and I've shared my concerns, and I'd like to state them here. The superintendent mentioned unresolved issues in our body, and I think that one of the main unresolved issues has to do, from my point of view, with the current leadership style that doesn't seek broad input from the body on how we should do things together, and that doesn't seek to elicit diverse points of view. Prior to the last retreat, we had discussion, and it was quite passionate about. Some of us talked about the need for joint decision making, right? Some of us asked very clearly that we should plan jointly for the content, we should plan jointly for the process, but that request wasn't honored. At the last retreat, for example, as an example, there was a unilateral decision made to select a facilitator that some of us strongly opposed, and that caused additional fracture to the committee. So I'm disappointed because I was very much hoping that this retreat could be an opportunity to repair some of our process. Having prefaced with that, I would like some transparency. The superintendent said that we began talking about the retreat. So I'd like to know who we is and who planned this retreat and how it was decided that the superintendent would facilitate, because it's actually not, it's not prohibited, of course, that the superintendent facilitate, but it's not common either or customary. So I'd like to know about that, and I'd like to know what existing data was used to craft the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. So Member Bertolli, I know your hand is maybe up for a different reason, but and you're welcome to share what you were going to say, but I don't know if also you wanted to maybe address some of those questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to start by responding to Member Weisenfreund's question, which again, as per the rules of our body, the purview of one of the purviews of the vice chair is planning the retreat. And it really isn't a space where collaboration is written into our rules. And I think at a time when there's so many issues that the school committee is facing on, having the vice chair maintain that role makes a lot of sense. When I initially began to think about planning this next retreat, I wanted to check in with the chair and to check in with the superintendent about how we wanted to approach the planning of the retreat and what we would be considering, especially during this time of transition. And, as we began the conversation, Superintendent Azar-Loza said, I'd love to facilitate this. And a space where Superintendent Azar-Loza I really share values in terms of leadership is around this idea that a highly functioning team works best together. So her statement that she really wanted to work on the dynamics of the school committee felt very valuable to me and very valid at this time. And so I was very happy to accept her offer to facilitate. In terms of the data, this is less about focusing on data than it is about focusing on how we function as a team. And I think the statement that you really can't work effectively when you have a dysfunctional team is kind of what drove me. And that shared value with Superintendent Azar-Loza is what really drove me to accept her offer to facilitate. And I'm really excited about what she has set up for us. And that agenda will be out in the required 48 hours before the retreat, as is the case for public meetings. So that's my response to Member Weisenfreund. And within that response, I've also really folded in my appreciation for Superintendent Azar-Loza and for the shared values. We are a community. Even when we disagree, we have to be able to do it in ways that are effective, where all voices are heard. And I feel like that's what we're building to right now. And having her as part of our team makes me feel really optimistic about the future, not only of this body, but also of our district. So thank you again, Mayor Chiara.
Thanks. Superintendent, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, actually, I was actually looking at the policy myself just to make sure that I wasn't doing anything out of line. So thank you, Member Bartoli.
Okay. Member Montgomery Tomaclo.
So thank you, Superintendent Azarloza, for your explanation of your thought process around this. I guess my issue is last retreat we had unfinished business, and that is not on the agenda. And I think that spending 6 hours on a Saturday is asking a lot of us if we don't incorporate that business that we left, that we purposely said we will address in the August retreat with the new superintendent. I dysfunction, people work in the ways that they work. And I think that it is, if we're asking the body to come for 6 hours on a Saturday, then we need to break it up. And maybe we do the Enneagram function part, but we also address the business that we have unfinished.
Okay. Member Bartoli, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, thanks, Member Montgomery Katamaklo. And I think this is a point where I appreciate that we haven't been fully transparent, and that is that what we have done is the focus of this retreat really being on team dynamics allows us to open up space in the August meeting to address a lot of the unfinished business. In this meeting as well, we addressed the unfinished business of the Family Engagement Committee, and I'm happy that we've taken care of that. There are a couple more items, and they will go to our August main meeting.
Okay. Any other, Member Martin.
Thank you, Superintendent Azarloza, for bringing this forward, and I'm happy to follow your lead on this and to use this time to get to know you in a deeper way and to work together with you in a deeper way as a group. I actually appreciate Member Tamaklo Montgomery's question, because I also was like, wait, there were some things we were going to do. And Member Bartoli, you mentioned that there's some other things. Could you just outline and refresh our memory about what are the other things that we are going to do in August that we had booted to the retreat? That would be helpful to.
Yeah, and I don't have those notes in front of me. So I know that there is some outstanding work around our rules of procedure that we had hoped to edit during our March retreat that we didn't get to. I'm going to actually turn it over to Superintendent Azarloza and have her speak to the board section or the board topics section of the agenda that we're going to start to implement, because she can speak to that more effectively than I can in terms of how we're thinking about future business as we.
I missed part of what you said, Member Bartoli. You were in and out, so I know I heard my
Sure.
name, but I don't know what what else you said.
Yeah, can you speak to this board requests and board topics section that you introduced to us when we first met, of how you're addressing requests by members?
Oh, yes. So what I shared with the mayor and Member Bartoli is, in a previous district, what we had instituted, actually it was already in place when I arrived, was that, for example, if a school committee wanted to put something on the agenda, they would just simply call, for example, in our case, would call or email Anthony, letting them know, I'd really like, for example, I really like bullying data for the last 3 years. And I'd like, and so that item then was put on the agenda, not for us to provide that information, but to just make it very transparent to the rest of the school committee and to the community that a member requested, for example, 3 years of our bullying data. And so under the, could be under future business, it was then said, 3 years of bullying data. And then let's say it was Member Martin who requested it. And then, for example, Madam Mayor, as the chair would say, okay, here is a particular item that the member would like to discuss. Member Martin, is it just as we read it, or did you want to clarify it or change it? And then Member Martin would say, nope, it looks good. And then I would say, for example, Member Martin, would you like that would you like me to email it to the school committee? Would you like me to present it to the community, next month? So it's very, very transparent, so that when school committee members are actually asking for requests, it's very public, and then everyone knows what the request is, how it's going to be disseminated, whether the member would like it in the form of a public meeting or perhaps via email. And then, of course, that would be the member's decision. And so that I was going to talk about that during the retreat and just share that system we had in place to see if that worked for the committee.
Yeah, so just to come back to that, I think we're working really hard as quickly as possible to increase the level of transparency. And yeah, I just want to back up what Superintendent Annie said about how one of the items on the retreat agenda is communication with the superintendent. I'm really excited about that.
And if I can just jump in, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, which is, and we've already actually started doing it. I've sent Anthony a board action sheet. And what that is essentially also is if a member requests something on the floor, we don't want anything falling through the cracks. So it's actually recorded in that board action sheet. So we can always go back to the member to give them that information.
Great. Thank you. Member Sainer Sullivan.
Thank you. So just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because I too was looking at the agenda for the retreat and thinking, oh, this sounds very interesting, but I was really hoping to get on top of, in my case, how subcommittee chairs set agendas. So I just want to understand those types of things are going to be kicked to our August meeting. Or are we going to present requests at the agenda, or are these things that have been carried over? I'm just also trying to understand where those are going to live, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think we are going to try and fold as much into the August meeting as we can, and then if we need to set aside another time to do those remaining rules that we said we wanted to talk about, maybe we have to set aside another period to do that. So whether it's, like a brief retreat or like a special meeting or something. Member Bartoli?
Yeah, I think another item on the August agenda as well was this topic of contingency meetings and setting a really clear precedent around that in terms of when and how and why contingency meetings might happen to deal with business that isn't addressed in our first monthly meeting.
Yeah, that is on the list. Member Sainer Sullivan.
So it seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in the hopes of transparency around all this, we're hoping that this retreat is going to help us learn how to communicate more effectively so that we can actually discuss the topics like contingency meetings and agenda setting in a more efficient way during the meetings. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, I would say that we do everything in a more sort of efficient and productive way so that we can do more during our meetings, right? And
so if that's the impetus, if that's one of the goals, then I'm all for that.
And I'm going to add too, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Superintendent Annie, but I think the approach to leadership here is that if we have a better knowledge and understanding of each other and our different working styles, that will help us to work more effectively as a team.
100%, yes.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about the retreat next month? Right, seeing none, then that brings us to executive session. So we'll be voting to enter into executive session, and we will be adjourning from executive session and not coming back into open session. So those of you that have been joining us thus far will, after this vote, we will enter executive session and we won't come back. So we'll be saying good afternoon to you at that point. Would someone like to make the motion to enter into executive session and read the purposes, please?
I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah, please. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Pursuant to MGL C30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. Do you want me to list A, B, and C?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, so those are the three items that we're gonna discuss.
So A, Unit C, and G, MOA, and B, Unit E, MOA, and C, MIAA.
Okay, so that motion was made by Member Sainer Sullivan, seconded by?
Second.
By Member Mahoney. And okay, so again, we will be entering executive session and adjourning from there. So we'll be saying goodbye to everybody else. And roll call, please, Anthony, on entering executive session.
Ms. Yara?
Yes.
Member Bartoli?
Yes.
Member Weissenfreund?
Yes.
Member Montgomery Tamaclo?
Yes.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yes.
Member Reese,
Yes.
Member Jewell,
Yep.
Member Saina Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay, again, goodbye to everybody else.